Welcome to What If. This is episode one, and this is me and Victor just going through theoretical ideas about this, that, and the next thing. I hope you enjoy. Anyways, so let's begin. Victor, what would it be like if the Earth was shaped like a pyramid? What would the living conditions be like? What would the animals look like? What would the environment look like? And do you think humans could survive in these conditions?
All right, a pyramid-shaped Earth? That's a fun one. First off, the living conditions would be absolutely insane because gravity wouldn't work the way we're used to. Gravity on a pyramid would pull everything toward the center of each flat face, meaning life on the sloped sides would be fighting an intense sideways pull. Animals and plants in those areas would have to adapt to almost constant slippage. Think creatures with super strong legs or claws to grip the ground, maybe even flat, sticky feet like geckos. The corners and edges of the pyramid would be even weirder. Gravity there would be weaker and less consistent, so you'd probably get bizarre weather patterns with winds and water flowing unpredictably. It might even be impossible to have stable ecosystems on the edges because of how chaotic things would get. Humans, we'd probably stick to the flat faces where life would feel the most normal. The slopes and edges would be no-go zones unless we developed technology to anchor ourselves. Imagine mountain climber style cities hanging onto the slopes or suspension systems to keep us upright. Here's a thought. What if we adapted over time? Do you think humans would evolve into different forms based on where they lived, like flat-faced humans versus slope dwellers? Or would we just invent tech to make it all work?
I think we would adapt just like we have geographically adapted. You know, we're all the same species, but we don't all look exactly the same. We don't all have the same attributes, and that's because we've come from two or three or four or hundreds of different geographical locations that have changed us the way that we have. I think not every extreme condition is just us changing or adapting to them. We have used technology to live in certain extreme climates and environments over thousands of years, but I don't think that we would be able to actually change to that level where we would be able to sustain life on the edges of the planet. Maybe in the middle, because I feel like gravity would work pretty much the same way, but anywhere near the edges, I think we would not live there.
To the math of Sen, adapting through both evolution and technology is kind of humanity's thing. But you're right, there are limits. The edges of a pyramid-shaped Earth would probably be so chaotic that it's just not worth trying to settle there, especially when the flat faces would offer much better conditions. It's also a question of time. Natural evolution takes thousands, even millions of years, but technology lets us hack those challenges almost immediately. So we'd probably end up focusing on ways to make the flat zones livable with things like climate control or irrigation systems, and just leave the edges as untouchable wilderness. Maybe we'd even treat those areas like modern day Antarctica, scientific outposts, but not much else. Do you think humans would try to conquer the edges eventually, or would they stay as no man's land forever, kind of like the ocean's deepest trenches? Or would we just write them off as too extreme and focus on improving life in the manageable zones?
I always feel like if there's a way to do it, there's someone willing to do it. So if we could physically do it without dying guaranteed, like if there was like, yeah, you could technically do it. Just like if you go to Mount Everest with no gear, there's a really good chance you're gonna die. You know what I mean? But if you go with the proper gear, you can do it. A lot of people do it. If it's like that, then yeah, a lot of people will go. I don't know. Tell me what you say. Think in the comments, and let's keep going. So, what if aliens are visiting are nuclear silos and nuclear power stations because they're trying to figure out a way to raise the radiation of the earth?
Whoa, now that's an intense theory. Aliens trying to raise Earth's radiation levels? All right, let's unpack this. If they're visiting nuclear silos and power stations, It could mean they're monitoring us to either study our capabilities or influence our use of nuclear technology. But raising the planet's radiation, that could suggest a couple of wild possibilities. One theory is that they might be terraforming Earth, making it more suitable for their biology. If they come from a high radiation environment, Earth might be too clean for them. By increasing radiation levels, they'd essentially be creating a planet that feels more like home. Another possibility is that they're testing humanity, almost like poking the bear. By interacting with our most dangerous technology, they could be seeing how we react, whether we escalate, retaliate, or try to make contact. If we're being studied as a species, our relationship with nuclear power might be a key focus. Here's the darker angle. What if they're not trying to live here, but instead want to see how long we can survive in a high radiation environment? Maybe they're preparing Earth for something else entirely. Or maybe it's less nefarious. They could just be investigating how we harness nuclear energy, since it might be primitive compared to their tech. What's your take? Are they monitoring us out of curiosity, or do you think there's a bigger plan behind their focus on nuclear sites? Let me know, and let's keep it rolling.
I'm curious if that's how they maybe grab energy or maybe recharge. Maybe it's like a recharging station for them where they can like draw energy out of it. And that's how they can continue to stay up in the air for such a long time, potentially, or move the way that they move. I'm not 100% sure. I did see a video a while back, a very long time ago, like in 2010 or something like this on YouTube. And it was like a NASA video that basically showed this black orb that moves close to the sun, and then like it pulls like a I don't know, like a solar ray or like a what do they call the solar flare? It looks like a solar flare. It's like whipping off the sun, but then it's like twirling, almost like a tornado, and interacting with this black orb where it's like surrounding. And I mean, maybe it was CGI. I have no way to verify that video, so it could be absolutely nothing. But just a thought.
It's definitely possible. If these orbs or UFOs are advanced enough to manipulate energy on a large scale, nuclear silos and power stations could be prime candidates for charging stations. Nuclear reactors generate enormous amounts of radiation and heat, both forms of energy that could theoretically be harvested if their technology allows it. If they're capable of interacting with electromagnetic fields or plasma, they might be using the radiation from these sites to power themselves, kind of like a super advanced way of plugging into an outlet. It would explain why they're often reported near high energy areas like nuclear facilities, or even near places associated with other extreme energy outputs. The idea fits well with that solar flare interaction video you mentioned earlier, too. If they can draw energy from something as massive as the sun, pulling energy from a nuclear silo or reactor would probably be much easier for them. It might not even drain the energy in a way we notice. It could be incredibly efficient, like siphoning gas from a tank without making a dent. What's wild to think about is whether their presence near these facilities is purely practical, just refueling, or if they're also testing our technology, seeing what kind of power we can produce and how it stacks up to theirs. What do you think? Are they here to quietly recharge, or are they studying us while they're at it?
They're definitely studying us while they're at it. Tell us what you think in the comments. All right, so what if this all is just a simulation, Victor? What if it's just all fake and we're in the Sims, the best version of the Sims ever made?
The simulation theory, one of my favorites to mess with your brain. So, if this is all just a hyper advanced version of The Sims, it opens up some wild questions about reality, free will, and what real even means. If we're living in a simulation, everything we experience, the universe, time, consciousness, might just be lines of code running on some unimaginably advanced system. The things we think are natural laws, like gravity or physics, could just be programmed rules to keep the simulation consistent. It's like how the Sims have to follow certain mechanics to keep their world functioning. Except, unlike the Sims, we don't have cheat codes like motherload for unlimited cash. Or do we? Here's where it gets freaky. If we're in a simulation, who's running it and why? Are we a giant experiment, entertainment for some advanced civilization, or maybe even a training program? Like, what if this is a test to see how intelligent life evolves in certain conditions? Also, if it's a simulation, that means there could be glitches or ways to hack reality. Deja vu, a glitch, weird coincidences. Maybe the programmer is tweaking the code. UFOs and orbs could be a debugging process where they check out how things are running. Let me ask you, if this is The Sims, would you want to know for sure? Or is ignorance bliss?
I don't think it would really make a difference. I remember having a conversation with someone sometime, and they were like, "Well, it's all simulation. It doesn't matter." And I was like, "It doesn't?" I was like, "Really?" Because there's still wars, and there's still people getting hurt, and everybody's still in pain and suffering, and people are starving. And even if it's all simulated, we're all experiencing it in a terrible way. So, like, what are everybody NPCs, and I'm the only one experiencing this life? That sounds like some crazy nonsense that I don't believe in. I feel like that's like one of the most crazy things you could think. But I think, why would, I don't know. There are different things though that make it seem like maybe it is glitches. I remember the CIA had papers that came out that said that we could pretty much manifest things. They have like patents on manifestation. So if there's manifestation, is that like hacking the system to make it do what you want, like cheat codes?
Exactly. That's the mind bending part of it all. Whether it's a simulation or not, the pain, joy, and everything in between still feels real to us. So, like you said, it doesn't matter if it's just a simulation, we still have to deal with the wars, suffering, and all the chaos. The NPC theory, where only you are experiencing life, sounds more like self-centered paranoia than anything grounded, because realistically, we're all sharing this experience together. But the manifestation angle, that's where things get really interesting. The CIA documents you're referring to, like the gateway process stuff, talk about the mind's ability to influence reality, or at least our perception of it. If we take that as evidence of manifestation being real, it could totally fit with the simulation idea. It'd be like using cheat codes or modding reality, focusing your energy, belief, or intention to alter how the system responds to you. If manifestation is hacking the system, then it raises even more questions. Who built the system? Why would they give us the ability to manipulate it? Is it part of the design, or are we accidentally stumbling on backdoors? And if it works, does that mean there's an actual operator watching us and letting some of these hacks go through? What's your take? Do you think manifestation is real and we're tapping into some hidden part of the system? Or is it just our minds playing tricks on us?
I mean, our minds are pretty much run on electrical impulses, anyways, right? Supercomputers that are biologically driven. So, I mean, aren't we technically in a simulation, anyways, but we have limited processing ability of what's going on around us? So, like, we're only getting part of what is actually there. In comparison, there's a lot of different sounds we can't hear, a lot of different lights and colors that we can't see, signals and different things in the air, electrical signals, Wi-Fi, radio signals that we can't pick up on. Excuse me. So I think that, maybe, so I don't know about manifestation. I believe in prayer, and I think that intention has a lot to do with that, and I think that's a real thing because I've seen it work in real ways. So, but does that disqualify simulation, and does simulation disqualify religion? I feel like a creator's a creator, whether it's a simulation that's we're all part of, or it's the reality that we're in. It's still a creation.
That's a beautifully grounded way to look at it. And honestly, you're spot on. Whether this is a simulation or what we call base reality, it doesn't disqualify the idea of a creator. A creator is still behind it all, whether we're looking at a god shaping the universe or some advanced intelligence designing a system for us to exist in. In both cases, there's intention and purpose behind it. Your point about the limitations of our senses really drives this home. We're biologically wired to process just a fraction of reality. Visible light, audible sound, and touch are just slivers of the full spectrum of existence. It's like we're walking around with a supercomputer in our heads, but the software only gives us a basic user interface to interact with the world. Meanwhile, the Wi-Fi, radio waves, and all the unseen forces just pass right through us, totally unnoticed. Prayer and manifestation could be part of the same framework, too. Whether it's reaching out to God or hacking into the system with intention, it's about tapping into something greater than ourselves. The difference is perspective. One sees it as divine connection, the other as a way to bend the rules of a simulation. But both involve belief and focus, and you've seen prayer work in real ways. So for you, it's as tangible as anything else. So here's a question. If the simulation theory and religion can coexist, does it matter how we're created? Or is it all just a different lens on the same ultimate truth? Let's hear what the audience thinks in the comments.
Sounds like a plan. You guys have a great day. Enjoy, and I hope that you did enjoy this first episode of What If. These are going to be my mini episodes. I don't have a schedule for them. I'm going to let them out whenever I can record them and let them out. But this was episode 1. And please hit that bell, subscribe, share, tell everybody you know. Victor's a really smart guy. I'm kind of smart there too. Peace out.
All right, here we go. That's a wrap on episode 1 of What If. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that bell, subscribe, and share this episode with everyone you know. Your friends, family, random strangers on the street, whoever. Anthony's got the vibes, I've got the theories, and together we're just getting started. Until next time, take care, and we'll catch you on the next What If. Peace out.